Hey everybody, Will Saletan here from the Bulwark. I want to talk to you today about keeping your eyes open and your head clear about the danger we face from Donald Trump. Right now, a lot of people are up in arms about something Trump said on Friday that they think was a threat to end democracy in America. What I want to explain today is that that line from Trump was not, in fact, a threat to democracy. And it's a distraction from other things he's been saying that are very dangerous. So let's start with the line that has everybody upset. It's from a speech Trump gave on Friday at the Turning Point Action Summit in Florida. Watch.
Christians, get out and vote just this time. You won't have to do it anymore. 4 more years, you know what? It'll be fixed. It'll be fine. You won't have to vote anymore, my beautiful Christians. I love you, Christians. I'm a Christian. I love you. Get out. You got to get out and vote. In 4 years, you don't have to vote again. We'll have it fixed so good you're not going to have to vote.
Now, a lot of people, including the press, took that line to mean that Trump was saying there will be no more elections if he wins. But if you listen carefully, you'll hear that what he actually said was that he would fix all of the country's problems, and so there wouldn't be any need for his supporters to show up and vote the next time. Now, that statement by Trump is stupid and wrong for a bunch of reasons, but it's not a threat to end democracy. What is a threat to democracy and to the rule of law is a bunch of other things Trump has said over the last couple of weeks. I want to show you those things because unlike what Trump said about Christians, these other statements are quite ominous. To begin with, the most important thing Trump said in that speech in Florida was not what he said about Christians. Here's the line that really matters.
As soon as I take the oath of office, I will stop the Biden-Harris administration's weaponization of law enforcement against Americans of faith and against, frankly, their political opponent.
That word at the end was not opponents, plural. It was opponent, singular. And Trump has repeated that word in several other speeches. He's talking about himself. He's not just saying that he would protect Christians who support him. He's saying he will stop all investigations and prosecutions of himself. Now, you might think, if he does that, if the president abuses his power to quash all investigations of himself, Americans won't stand for it. They'll rise up. But Trump is laying the groundwork for this move by twisting public perceptions of the investigations so that when he drops the axe on the investigators, people will shrug and let it happen. Let me take you back 2 weeks to Trump's speech at the Republican convention. In that speech, Trump told America that the criminal case against him in Florida for obstructing the government's efforts to recover classified documents from him was essentially over. Listen.
On Monday, a major ruling was handed down from a highly respected federal judge in Florida, Eileen Cannon, finding that the prosecutor and the fake documents case against me were totally unconstitutional, and the entire case was thrown out of court.
And then at the Turning Point conference, Trump said flatly that he had won the case.
You know, I won my case in Florida on the documents, right? Joe had a much more, I had the Presidential Records Act on my side. I was allowed to I didn't do anything wrong. He did.
This is complete garbage. The documents case is the most airtight case against Trump. He is definitely guilty. But the judge in that case, who was appointed by Trump, granted a ridiculous motion that said the special prosecutor, Jack Smith, had been improperly appointed. That ruling will almost certainly be overturned. But Trump wants to make voters think that the judge's ruling was about the merits of the case. He's pretending that he was exonerated. And the goal here is that he not only wins the presidency and directs his Justice Department to drop the case, but that he can claim falsely that he has the right to do this because he has already won the case on the merits. Trump also says the case is illegitimate because it was brought by Joe Biden's Justice Department. Listen to this line from Trump's rally in North Carolina on Wednesday.
And we won our big case. You know, we won the case in Florida. That was that big one. We won that one. And I got out by beating their Justice Department.
Did you catch that phrase at the end? Their Justice Department? Trump is saying that when the Justice Department investigates and prosecutes him, it's not the Justice Department. It's just a political arm of the Biden administration. Remember, what actually happened here is that the Attorney General, Merrick Garland, appointed a special prosecutor to run the Trump investigations, precisely to set up a wall between the investigations and any political appointees in the Justice Department. And there is zero evidence that Joe Biden played any role in any of this. But Trump doesn't care. He just wants to delegitimize the case. Trump also signaled that he's going to get rid of the other federal case against him, the one about his scheme to overturn the 2020 election. Again, he says it's not a real indictment because it came from the Biden administration. Listen to what Trump said a week ago at a rally in Michigan.
But I'm being indicted for you. Don't worry about these fake indictments. These aren't indictments. These are Biden indictments. These are a sick, weak, pathetic man who can't run an election, so he indicts his opponent thinking that's going to win. And in many cases it would. You know, third world countries do this a lot. Banana republics do it a lot. We've never done it. And we're going to teach them why they can never do it again.
In addition to those two federal cases, there are two other cases that Trump can't directly extinguish because they were brought by local district attorneys and grand juries. One is the case he already lost in New York about falsifying business records to cover up hush money that he paid in 2016. The other is a pending case in Georgia about his attempts to overturn the election there in 2020. Trump is telling his supporters that these local cases are also illegitimate because, according to Trump, any judge who has ruled against him or who might rule against him is corrupt. Here's what he said about that at his rally in Michigan.
But sometimes you have crooked judges. We have some real crooked judges, too. That's the only way. The only way I can lose is crooked judges, but we'll get it overturned, anything that happens.
So that's what Trump is saying about the cases against him. They're all corrupt, and therefore he has every right to get rid of them. But Trump also has plans for the people he sent to storm the Capitol on January 6th. If he gets elected, he's going to release those people from prison, and he's going to pardon them. Listen to this from his speech to the Turning Point Conference. He's comparing the insurrectionists of January 6th, hostages, he calls them, to people who damaged monuments and statues after the murder of George Floyd.
January 6th. Well, what's happening to these people that have done serious damage? Have they been arrested? Are they in jail now, like the January 6 hostages? And when are they letting them out? You know, we had a great Supreme Court ruling 4 weeks ago that really should let most of them out. When are they coming out? They're still there. When are they coming out?
And here's the part where he says he'll release the insurrectionists.
From the moment I win the election, I will rapidly review the cases of every political prisoner who has been unjustly victimized by the Biden-Harris regime, so we can get them out of prison and back to their families where they belong. There's many of them out there.
That is a direct attack on democracy and the rule of law. Trump sent a mob to attack the Capitol so he could stay in power after he lost an election. And now he's promising to free and pardon the people who joined him in that insurrection. And that is just the beginning of what he has in mind. Here's what he said at his North Carolina rally about MS-13 gang members who get arrested.
Nancy Pelosi said they should stand trial, nice fair trial. No, these are monsters.
And here's what he said in Minnesota about people who burn the American flag.
We do not need more people who want to burn our flag. I watched yesterday and the day before, they're burning our American flag. And I said, I know they say it's unconstitutional. Well, make it not unconstitutional. You burn our American flag, you should get immediately mandatory 1 year in jail.
So Trump's agenda, if he gets back in power, is no legal accountability for himself and no constitutional rights for his enemies. And if Trump loses this election, he's already telling his followers not to accept that result. Listen to this from his rally in Minnesota. He's telling the crowd that the reporters at the rally are crooked collaborators in a Democratic conspiracy to steal elections.
If they don't cheat, we win this state easily, okay? They cheat. They have no shame. They cheat. Do you understand that, you crooked people? They're the most crooked. They cheat. They cheated in the last election, and they're going to cheat in this election, but we're going to get them. If we have an honest election, we're going to blow it out in Minnesota. We'll blow it out. Just look at the crowds. Look at the people back there. The radical left Democrats rigged the presidential election in 2020, and we're not going to allow them to rig the presidential election in 2024. We're not going to allow it to happen.
So what Trump is setting up here is an attack on democracy and the rule of law from every direction. If he wins the election, he will use his power to crush all investigations and prosecutions of himself. And he will free and pardon the criminals who fought for him in the January 6th insurrection. And if he loses the election, he will incite another insurrection by telling his followers the same thing he told them on January 6th and the same thing he's still telling them at these rallies, that the only way he could have lost is through fraud and cheating. See you next time.